Hello, everyone, and welcome to our location and premium analytics session for the first time at HPE Discover. So my name is Wes Purvis. I look after wireless product management at HPE Juniper Networking. I will talk about location services and premium analytics, and then towards the end of the presentation, I will be joined by Alex Israel to talk a little bit about his deployment at the University of Plymouth. So let's get into it. Of course, the forward-looking statements, which I will skip past. From a topics standpoint, we'll talk a little bit about the foundation of the Mist location services, go through some location use cases, talk about what's new for us in location, premium analytics, and then end with Alex. So what is, from an indoor location services, what are we seeing? Like, location as a technology is not new. A Wi-Fi system providing location services has pretty much existed since the start of Wi-Fi. And oftentimes, those solutions can be difficult, they're closed, and some of the use cases that are enabled are not very compelling. In the Mist world, pretty much since the beginning, we have focused on location-based services, where we've had patented virtual Bluetooth low energy technology built into the access points, for almost 10 years now. And that continues even in our newest Wi-Fi 7 access points. The value is, first of all, BLE is out of band from Wi-Fi. We of course support Wi-Fi location, but BLE being out of band, allows for quicker refresh, and with the antenna technology, higher accuracy. And then we throw in some of the intelligence that's built into our cloud, using unsupervised machine learning to learn the environments and eliminate manual calibrations of location networks. Anybody who has deployed location networks in the room? Bob has? Okay, great. And who has had to walk around and calibrate the network, calibrate location? Yeah. So it's previously in systems where you wanted accuracy, calibration was necessary, and that's maybe okay for if you have one or two locations, but as if you're a larger organization, that can really become a pain. So how does it work in the Mist world, right? So the access points act as our foundation of our location services, whether it's a wayfinding or asset visibility. It's the access point, which is transmitting or receiving the location services, and then that information is fed into our cloud for real-time location, and I mean real-time, right? We're not delayed 5-10 seconds by going to the cloud. It's real-time location, and our top-level use cases are for using mobile apps for kind of wayfinding kind of use cases, and asset or personnel visibility type of use cases, engagement or workspace utilization type of use cases, and then combining that with Wi-Fi and location services in one integrated solution. There are most of our AP models have the virtual Bluetooth low energy built into them, and we also have a BT11, which is a Bluetooth only device that can be used to augment for additional location coverage. So to go a little bit deeper into the four main use cases, so user engagement, this would be real-time wayfinding, point-to-point navigation within indoor space, using Bluetooth and very quick refresh, and some of the sensors on the phone to ensure navigation. Asset visibility. this is the device actually receiving, and asset visibility can be used for a number of things. So one is locating people devices like a wheelchair or infusion pump in a hospital. And we can also use this receive functionality for occupancy and proximity tracing. So fundamentally, either the AP is transmitting or it's receiving for location services, and we can use those in various different ways. And then built on top of that is premium analytics, which I'll talk about towards the end. And within the premium analytics, we curate some of the data and present occupancy analytics, engagement analytics, the proximity tracing. And the stumbling block of many location endeavors tend to be the integrations, right? It's very easy as a infrastructure manufacturer to, we can give you location services, but how do you actually get value out of that? How is that actually used? Well, almost always, these location-based services need to integrate with something else, right? It's not just view it in the Mist portal, which you can do, but this has to fit into your workflow, and so we have many ecosystem partners that we work with who can enable the location services for your specific needs. All this information is available on our website. The link is at the bottom. If you just search for Juniper Mist technology partners. So how do we get the data for location services? Within our product today, there's generally 6 sources of location. So first is the mobile app using Bluetooth for this is generally for wayfinding or engagement, and the app on the phone is actually listening for beacons coming off of the access point, and then reporting that back up to the cloud where the blue dot is generated. There is tag-based tracking, so like a BLE tag, where if it's a keychain or a key card that somebody is wearing, that can be, the AP is listening for the beacons coming off of those BLE tags, and the APs are reporting that information to the cloud. The APs will also passively listen for any Bluetooth low energy that is out there. And then, of course, fully supporting Wi-Fi location. So for Wi-Fi connected users, unconnected users, find time measurement, and newly on our AP47, which is our latest and greatest Wi-Fi 7 access point, we've included ultra wideband UWB. I'll talk about UWB a little bit more later on. It's a new and interesting technology for us, many of which technology is still developing from a standards perspective. But most importantly, all this information, all this location context is available within our platform, and everything is available via APIs, WebSockets, webhooks. The intention is to get this data to the technology partners who will use it and built it into the workflow that you need. So the mobile user engagement is generally kind of the real-time wayfinding and proximity notifications wherever you are. So this is, you walk into a store, you get a welcome. You walk into a store, the end of an aisle, you get a notification that says, hey, this box of cookies is on sale. This leverages our mobile SDK that would typically be built into your customer-facing application, or if it's an internal application, either way. But our SDK technology built into your app. So here is just kind of a video demonstration of what things look like. So the left is actually recording walking, and then the right is what the turn-by-turn navigations look like on the phone itself. And so it's a real-time update and can get you from point A to point B. we have many customers using this for, in larger buildings, navigating between floors, navigating across a campus, combining this with indoor and outdoor-based location data to get to where you need to go. And here's what it actually looks like in the cloud, in the back end. Right, so the left, this is Analash, who's actually our location product manager, walking around. And then the screen in the middle is the RF environment view, also referred to as RF glasses. And you can see the dots moving around. And it's maybe hard to see, but each of the access points, there's actually 8 numbers. And that's the signal strength of how the client is reporting hearing each of the beams, right? So we have this antenna, it has 8 beams on it. And so it's actually, basically 8 directional antennas. And the AP is beaconing out each one. And the client is reporting how it hears each beam. And that's showing up in this view. And then the right is our diagnostic app, showing the breadcrumbs and the sensor data coming off the phone of which way the device is actually moving. So yeah, all of this combines to a single blue dot that you see in the Wayfinding app. It's, this was cool technology 5 years ago, and it's still amazing technology to me. And I think from a wayfinding perspective, there is no equal to Bluetooth-based wayfinding. For asset visibility, it's the same infrastructure to enable, hey, let's let the AP listen to what it hears in the environment. So these can be specific tags that are, broadcasting, and they can beacon temperature and other environmental information. There's a duress type of use case where press a button on the tag and it triggers a duress workflow, and all this from the AP's listening. And then reporting that information to wherever it needs to go. This all builds into the premium analytics, where we have these dashboards that you can slice and dice the location data, analytics data. Also, we've built in a large language model to kind of extract some more information as well. So how about from an analytics perspective? The challenges that we see is it can be difficult to actually get the data out and potentially into the systems that you actually want to consume, right? We can have data in our platform, but usually you want to view that data in your platform. So that's where the idea of the premium analytics comes in, where we have dashboards. The data can be easily imported, exported, and as well as leveraging our APIs. Here is the engagement analytics, where it kind of shows from which area to which area people are traversing, and how long are they staying, where are they staying, how many people are there. It's a just kind of high-level state of things. So people will use this, this dashboard for, kind of workplace analytics, resource monitoring. There's a number of uses for this. Okay, so let's go into some of the specific use cases. One thing I like to say about location is the possibilities are limited by your imagination, in essence. And so I'll go through a few of the common use cases that we see across different verticals. I have a lot of slides here, so I'm going to just kind of skip through some stuff, but the idea is maybe spark some ideas for you if you see something of interest. So in higher ed, we see a lot of location-based services where it kind of gets into kind of sustainability trends, occupancy, for integrating with an HVAC system, Also there's some forensics types. Let's say, hey, somebody was somebody in this environment. Let's say there's a law enforcement, request. So there's a lot, a lot that can happen here. And so one use case is around, how do you understand how many, like from a classroom utilization standpoint, how many people are in the class, or is this class actually in the right room? How about maintenance perspective, or we have some Eduroam specific insights for those of you in higher ed. Eduroam with a little e is very common for allowing people to connect at different institutions. And so we can look at the user count versus device count and which institutions are actually coming across. Here is a customer who has built wayfinding into their mobile application for indoor and outdoor use cases, as well as push notifications. Really, there's a lot of things that you can do. One interesting use case that now a couple of our higher ed customers have gone down the journey of is this kind of smart building integration, where today many of the these HVAC systems, they integrate with the class scheduling systems, and they might have motion sensors if they need to turn on or whatever that's not expected. But we've also seen where you can leverage the location information. So how many people are seen in a particular area, because then the HVAC system can say, wow, there's a lot more people here than I'm expecting. Whatever output I have right now is not sufficient to keep up with the heating or cooling demands. Let me turn up the air conditioning. Or, there's not very many people in here right now. I can turn down my, how much I'm outputting. From a healthcare perspective, I would say healthcare is probably our #1 vertical for location-based services. Integrating with the likes of, Stanley or Hugs or Aeroscout or Centrac, is very common, but also kind of the native location services within Mist as well. So, we see, traffic trend analytics, getting people, where they need to be, making sure that the, building maintenance is being kept to. Kind of this duress kind of use case is also very common, where the doctors, nurses, and staff will wear a Bluetooth-enabled badge that has a button that you can press, and it signals, hey, I'm in duress, if that button is pressed. And from there, it can trigger a workflow with a webhook, or into a management system that will alert of, hey, I'm in trouble. Mobile engagement is also very common. Being able to navigate, within the patient app from the parking lot or parking garage into the doctor's or office, wherever the patient needs to go. Some of these healthcare facilities can be quite large and very confusing to navigate, and so the indoor wayfinding has actually been quite popular for us. As well as occupancy, kind of how many people are in each floor, and which wards are being used, more than others. So resources can be right-sized across, across the estate. From a retail perspective, these use cases often revolve around customer interaction and improving customer value. And kind of understanding the flow of traffic flows around particularly larger stores. So yeah, traffic trends and dwell time in specific zones, and then also, is the staffing correct for how many people are actually present. From a mobile app perspective, we have many customers who have actually built the Mist SDK into their mobile app. which helps with the high accuracy location leveraging vBLE, and can get more granular analytics around where people are in the store, as well as give notifications for, hey, I'm at the end of this aisle. I want to give you, hey, there's a sale happening right now. One other use case is the Uber, for retail type use case, where let's say, all right, I'm standing in front of the shirts, and I want to see if they have a different size. Within the app itself, you can request help, and the associate can accept the request, and then gets turn-by-turn navigation to your actual location where you're standing presently. One other thing I should mention, particularly in retail, we've seen an increased usage of electronic shelf labels. So this is the digital shelf labels that you will see on to display pricing. The Mist access points support ESL across the common vendors out there: Vusion, SolUM, Hanshao, and others. With a plug-in USB dongle, as well as in some cases natively, we can use the Bluetooth radio built into our access point to control these devices. And lastly is the enterprise type of use case. So here we see people, as they get into the return to office, there's often less office space than there was. And so there's this concept of, at least in the US, this is very common, this hot desk or hoteling type desk, where you don't actually get assigned a space to work. But this, having analytics on top of the space utilization to see, is the space too crowded? Is it undercrowded? What's actually happening? And part of this is integrating with the kind of workspace applications, and we can actually leverage kind of a virtual badge as well, and then using indoor wayfinding, turn-by-turn navigation, kind of combining the multiple different facets that we have. Guest and visitor access is also very common, where we can leverage location context, to integrate with, to provide guest access to users, give them turn-by-turn navigation. If you want to give them a BLE badge as their, visitor badge that they return back, it can help them with their, tracking as well, should you need to. Real estate and property management, also very common. Who's using what space, energy optimizations, and yeah, so okay, that was a lot of use cases. But hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of, hey, maybe this is of some interest for me, and I don't know, spark some imagination for you. Other things that we can offer, the Marvis client, which is an application that you can load on mobile devices to gain additional insights. And part of this Marvis client, there's also location built into it, but we can also, also get, additional Wi-Fi context from that device for troubleshooting kind of things. Okay, so with that, let's move on to what's coming up in our, what's new in location. However, I'd be remiss if I did not mention that, Juniper Mist is viewed as a leader in the wired and wireless Magic Quadrant, of course, with HPE Aruba right there. So we're one big happy family now. So what's new in location? Well, so first of all, we've released a feature called auto placement. This is the ability to help ease the placement of access points on a map. So let's say two kind of use cases. One is I don't have APs on a map, I want them on the map. That's what we call greenfield. The second is, I already have APs on the map, but can you validate for me that the APs were actually installed correctly? And we have leveraged find time measurement, 802.11 for this type of use case using the Wi-Fi radios on the access point. But what we have added on the AP47 is ultra-wideband. And so we can use the ultra-wideband for higher accuracy, AP auto placement. And also newly on the Wi-Fi 7 access points, we have two 802.15.4 radios that can operate in different personas, as well as we've built GPS into our entire Wi-Fi 7 indoor portfolio. But leveraging the UWB, because it's an extra radio, not a Wi-Fi radio, we can run the ultra-wideband measurements and not disrupt the Wi-Fi clients, which previously we required a downtime for the auto placement to run. So here's here's what it would look like, where the so these APs, you kind of saw they moved. The blue ones are already placed, and then the green ones were misplaced, and they moved them into the center. From a ultra-wideband perspective, we support the two common standards out there, which are FIRA and the Ultra-Wideband Alliance, also OMLOX. So, from an ultra-wideband perspective, we're very interested in watching this technology and helping this technology evolve. We've entered, in addition to the location-based services or the auto placement, we've entered into trials with some of our customers around using ultra-wideband tags and the AP acting as the in the ultra-wideband to locate the tags. It's an exciting area, but something and something that's evolving and will continue to evolve over the next couple of years. We've added auto zones, meaning if you have a floor plan, we can automatically. Come on, you can play. I'm trying to get it to play. Well, that's okay. So if you have a floor plan, upload it to the Mist dashboard, and it can automatically pick out the different zones within the floor plan, so that you don't have to manually draw them. And it gives you, if the zones don't line up to exactly what you want, it at least gives you a starting point that you can then modify a lot easier than doing everything from scratch. We are completely rebuilding our live view, which is our, what we call, viewing the map within Mist. We're adding, kind of a 3D view, introducing a concept that we call floor stacks, also known as a building, but a stack of floors, and you can assign, which one goes above which, and then adding some additional use cases around, viewing devices and clients, and a spectrum view, and a client distribution, and it's a complete rebuild of our location live view, a completely new tech stack for us, which allows us to scale and introduce a lot of these new features. So this will be very exciting, something coming, in the early part of next year. Also, some things that we're starting to think about, adding wall detection and automatically deriving the latitude and longitude based on the GPS of the access points, as well as an auto inclusion zone, to keep, to figure out what's actually the utilized space within the floor plan. Okay, so last thing before I bring up Alex is to talk quickly about premium analytics. So premium analytics is our long-term view, for analytics, up to 13 months. So it gives, long-term insights, lots of visibility, and these are oftentimes reports that can align to the line of business. So rather than giving somebody from line of business access directly to the management platform. This premium analytics, you can create a report that is valuable just to that line of business, that you can schedule delivery or even give them access to view directly. It also provides not just location dashboards, but also visibility into the full stack of our Juniper Mist solution, wired, wireless, WAN, NAC, as well as security. Brand new is Marvis, our AI personality, can now talk to premium analytics, which is very exciting. We can generate charts and graphs and retrieve data using a kind of a conversation to get the data out rather than hunting and pecking. So here's what it looks like. So let me just kind of try to skip ahead. Okay, not skipping ahead. We will talk through it. So it's basically asking analytics questions into Marvis. This is something that will come next year. So who are the top talkers in the last 3 months? It'll run that query and then generate a report based on that. And this can be for location services as well. So this one is clients by radio, but it's this is the long-term trending, right? Typically, data within our cloud is exists for 30 days. This is pulling the data from Premium Analytics, which goes for 13 months. So with that, I'd like to invite Alex up to the stage to give us a little bit of a peek into what he has going on at the University of Plymouth.
Thank you, Wesley.
Yep.
Hi, also, nearly the end of the day, location, premium analytics. Wes did a very good job of sounding interesting, but maybe sometimes he's not. So we'll run through some bits. So this is me. Always nice to have a big picture of yourself in large font. I am the Senior Infrastructure Architect at the University of Plymouth, member of Misfits and co-founder of Mist Scholars. And so, a lot of information on this screen. Won't go through it all, but we've been a Mist customer now since 2021. 5-year project to refresh all of our sites. And sort of one of the first decisions we made was going with the sort of AP33s, the AP45s, the vBLE, and having that information in there. And I'll probably call out just some of the few bits on this slide of lack of reporting capability with our previous system. You can probably guess, it says no trend analysis. Premium analytics is probably going to be the answer to that. The key requirements for our project, resilient network, exciting few bits. But one of the big things was, meeting our Wi-Fi first objective. When I wrote my business case to my IT director, asking for some money to refresh, she said, Alex, networking is not sexy. I'm not interested. It's just got to work. She said, you will never hear me say, well done, you've done a good job, the network works. But the moment it doesn't work, I will tell you. She wants to, best experience for our students in our halls of residence, our staff, those kind of things. And then what she said, and sort of what we came to, was that the network needs to be more than just a network, and it needs to support digital innovation. So that's kind of how we got to kind of those points. So, location services. We've started doing some of the stuff that sort of Wes has updated on. It's really exciting parts now. Location zones, create zones to feed into your reports. Would have been really nice if you'd done the auto zoning and auto placement 4 years ago. If you're all starting this journey, you'll benefit from that, whereas I had to create all my zones. Live view. So this is kind of, nice now, what is actually going live on the network, where people are. So I've got a little bit of an example here. We'll sort of point out, and you'll see in a moment, I'm not very good at screenshots. That kind of information is not great. Over the past summer, replaced the network in one of our sort of staff areas, little bit of an office area, 4th floor of a building, not many people up there. Fine, AP33s, save some money, that's not a problem. Here is said building, 4th floor, as I say. Just the Wi-Fi 5 APs. Estates, over the summer at the same time, changed the use of that building and moved some new people in. And one day somebody said to me, Wi-Fi doesn't work. And I thought, right, okay, well, let's have a look. What's going on? And there was this many people. And what the hell is going on? There's just a little bit of a staff office. What have you done? Oh, sorry, we should have said we converted 4 staff offices and we made it now where we store the Faculty of Health iPads, and they all live in there, and the students go and use them in there, and there's now, I think there's like 700 iPads that live on that floor constantly. Okay, right. Also, now looks like this in the middle of the night. All those iPads live in a little case, and they're charged to that scenario, but they've all got to be online all the time to talk to Jamf to get their updates. Right, okay. I've got some information here now from location. I know I can go swap out those APs. We'll start. We'll put in some AP45s. AP47s hadn't arrived, so 45s went in. It'd be great if Apple, put 6 gigahertz into some iPads. We can't have everything. But this is sort of a scenario of how this works, and it's kind of there. You'll see down in the corner somewhere it says iPad Truro. I think that might be relevant later on, because all of those iPads are all logged on with iPad Truro, so we can't actually tell which one is which, and it's just an overall nightmare. Location zones, so Wes mentioned this, and kind of this is my role here. Estate space planning, so we've got many different generations of buildings at the universities, some with smart sensors, some not so much. But estates want the same information for everywhere, so we zone a building, we can now tell them how many people are in areas at a certain time, and they can use their old-fashioned BMS to still plan the heating, rather than it just gets to the 1st of October, we turn the heating on, it gets to the 1st of March, we turn it off, and it's, even if it's sunny in October, it's boiling hot because the heating's on. Occupancy-wise, we're working with Seats, which are one of the sort of suppliers that were on the screen earlier on, to do the student attendance and sort of that kind of integration. And asset tracking. We've got a new 10-story building, which is sort of set up as a hospital environment. Lots of little microscopes keep going missing and going wandering, and students seem to put them in their backpack. They're going to have some Bluetooth tags on them, zoning, alert set up if it leaves that zone. An alert gets sent, and somebody knows that something's going on. So that's kind of how we're doing some location. Premium analytics is, going back to my previous point, needing some evidence to how this works and how it goes on. So I run multiple different premium analytics reports, but I've kind of just picked out a couple that work for there. So wireless report. Said we want to move to Wi-Fi first. How can I evidence that we've got more people on Wi-Fi that are actually doing that if there are any problems? Perfect little graph. This was last week. Number of clients, number of APs with clients. Handy to say, I've got 2,500 and something APs. So there's 80-something APs somewhere that haven't got anybody connected to them. Why are they there? We'll probably, they probably are needed, I hope. Amount of traffic, number of unique clients, that's kind of a picture. And that's just a week. But we've got 13 months worth of that information now, so I can show my boss the report. It says, yep, last year we were at this. It doesn't, annoyingly, it doesn't show how many people that actually is. But it used to be sort of 8,000 people. Now we're at like 12,000 constantly. Wi-Fi first process is working. Related again, moving to Wi-Fi first. So a wide report, inactive switch ports. Great. I've refreshed earlier all of my switches, but most of those switches now don't need to have people connected to them because we don't patch their sockets. So I've got a load of switches sat around with their new switch ports, run a monthly report now, pass it to my second line people, they can go and unpatch those sockets, and then eventually we can go back and take out switches. save money that way, invest it in more APs. The process works. Location report, this, a favorite. Wes mentioned it. I was sensible and put Eduroam with a small e. And this is how it works. So, grant, full year, over a process now of when my campus is busy. Green, not so busy. The darker red areas when it gets busy. So you can see over the summer, June, July, August, there's nobody really kicking around. We get into September, October time, and it gets busier, and I've got a full sort of year's worth of information to get to that point. I've got an odd week in January where something didn't happen. To the same point there, I've created all my zones, so I've got my zones. I need to do a better job of naming some of those zones so that from this report I can see what building that is related to, but auto-zoning sort of will create some of that information for me, take the room name off the floor plan, create that zone. But I can see the total number of users. Room 202, I know where that is. It's in my Babbage building. It's clearly a very busy building because it's got the most unique users. There's a point there, average client device count per user is 4. It's probably biased by iPad Truro because it's got 600 and something logins on a single account. But it's a lovely, pretty chart that delivers a picture. Otherwise, audit log, I've got a slight level of OCD, and even while I'm here, I need to sort of check on my Mist environment. So I run an audit log to who does what on our network constantly on a monthly basis. So any action that's taken, whether it's a Mist automated action, whether it's one of my members of staff, whether it's somebody from support, there's a record of who's done what at what time. An inventory, it's delightful. Asset management and info security, message me all the time. What versions of software are you running on these switches? What version of software are you running on these access points? The inventory report just delivers that, and now rather than me having to do anything, I schedule that once a month, first of the month, it gets sent to them, and they manage and look at that data. So, insights, what I'd like to know. So some of these, change over time, but if you're going to look at doing anything of this, zone your sites from day 0. When you create the site, add floor plans, now use auto zoning and auto mapping. That's kind of thing. A refresh justification, so premium analytics, PMA, C-level dream, justify the investment. I've already sort of started the process now. I'm year 4 of my 5-year refresh. Got to start writing the business case for my next 5-year refresh. Don't have the same problem as I did 5 years ago in not having any information. Kind of falls into the next point of longer term trends, used effectively, paints a picture of how your network is used, and gives you that information. We design buildings, we have such things. We think we know where students are going to go. They will decide where they want to go and sit. Having the information there is better than sending somebody around with a clipboard or trying to understand where they are, what side of a cafe they decide to sit, and all other kind of information. And then, for me, selling your network. So networking will never become sexy again, but advertise outside of your IT department what your network can do, how it can integrate with your estates department, how it can integrate with people. We've started speaking to our cafes of, right, students. Our students always have our university app. If we can put the SDK in there and be like, oh, you've signed up and you've paid, whatever this month, or you've returned your library book. Great news, you can have a free coffee because you're walking past the coffee shop, and it'll get them through the door. And that is me. Back to Mr. Purvis.
Thank you, Alex. Great job. All right, that's it. Nope, I didn't want to go. So go visit our communities, both Airheads as well as the Juniper Elevate. There's a, upstairs, if you haven't been, there's a mini mini booths in the networking section. Go visit the NOC. There's both, there's Mist, Aruba, Private 5G. The entire campus and branch portfolio is upstairs if you want to go check it out. And the very last ask of you is please, if you can, submit feedback on this session. It really does make a difference for us to see how we can improve, or if you like the session, go ahead and say that too. But with that, it is the end of the day. I think there's a welcome session tonight, and thank you very much for coming.